Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today at our town hall, the first after an absence of 2 months, which feels a very long time. I will start with our topic, which is transportation, a major challenge for many of us with the visually impaired community. Brigid sent me her bio and asked me to, cut whatever I want to. But honestly, I felt that I need to read it all because it's very interesting. And for those of you who don't know Brigid, it's a good chance to know her. So Brigid is a certified orientation and mobility specialist with the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority, which we all know as WMATA Metro. She is part of the travel training and outreach team hosted in Metro's Transit Accessibility Center. In this capacity, she provides one-on-one orientations to Metro customers who are blind or have low vision. She serves as Metro's liaison to the blindness low vision community and provides extensive outreach to consumer groups and professional organizations. Prior to coming to WMATA in 2008, Brigid worked with the Virginia Department for the Blind and Vision Impaired in Fairfax, and also the Blind Babies Foundation in San Francisco, and coordinated the Students with Disabilities Union at Portland State University in Portland, Oregon. Her work in the disability field as an advocate, service provider, and consumer of services spans 30 years. Brigid holds a Master's of Arts in Special Education from California State University, Los Angeles. On a personal note, Brigid grew up overseas as her father worked for the U.S. Department of State. She is the 9th of 10 children. The family spends a good bit of time together. Walking solo or with others, often listening to podcasts, musics, and reading, especially using Bard and NFB Newsline, are among favorite non-work activities, along with cooking, singing, and tending the plants that share space on her balcony and in her home. Brigid, the floor is yours. Oh, we can't hear you. Did we lose Brigid? I think we lost Brigid. Oh no. Let's wait until she comes back. So we can talk until she does. Or let me text her. We lost you. These are the challenges of internet and communications. What can we do? Okay, Barbara. Okay. Let's wait for a couple of minutes until she's able to join us. Shema, do you want to stop the recording until she does?
Yes, I'll pause it.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm sure it was something on my end. Why? I don't know, but I just have a gut feeling.
No worries, you're back.
I'm back. Okay.
Okay.
So I had just started to say that I was really happy to be back with this community again. I love this time of year when we all across the DMV and elsewhere sort of get back into the swing of our pattern, what's going on. And I'm happy Tara mentioned that we have some new folks in this Zoom session today, which is great. So I'd like to start off by just mentioning a safety contact. We do that at Metro. A safety contact means simply a reminder of being safe about something. So one of my favorites is make sure your shoes are tied. Make sure your shoes are tied, or if you are not wearing shoes that tie, that you have a good, safe shoe on your foot or both feet, assuming you're walking. And it may seem like such a small thing, but boy, oh boy, can we get ourselves into trouble. You turn off these dingers. What is MetroAccess? The reason that I have been invited to speak in part is to share with you all what is MetroAccess Paratransit service. And here's the fast description. It is Paratransit is a door-to-door, in our case, it is a door-to-door service that is a shared ride. So someone may come and pick me up for my trip to, say, a doctor's appointment or even out to dinner with a friend. But before they take me to the restaurant, because I'm going to go meet Tara for dinner, they might stop by another MetroAccess customer's home and pick them up. And they may be going to something entirely, well, they are going to be going to something entirely different. I've never met them before in my life. But they may be going to any number of events. So MetroAccess is there to be, it is public transportation, but it is specific to those of us who have a disability and sometimes cannot, or all of the time cannot, access the fixed route service. That means the buses that come through our neighborhoods or the trains. So that's the quick and dirty description. It's door-to-door transportation, as opposed to the bus that might come 3 or 4 blocks away, or the train that might be a mile away or 3/4 of a mile away. How do we determine how someone is served? The service area is within 3/4 of a mile of either a bus stop that is either a metro bus stop, or one of our partner buses. So in this area, that would be ART bus in Arlington, the bus over in Maryland, the bus, or the ride-on bus in Montgomery County, the bus in Prince George's County. In Fairfax City, it's the Q bus. Here in Fairfax County, where I live, it's the Fairfax Connector. So all of these buses, but there are some buses out there you may be familiar with that we don't have a reciprocal agreement with. For example, the Prince William County buses, they're out of our service area for the most part. And the MTA buses that are commuter buses that go, say, if I want to visit my sister in Annapolis, I can go to K Street and catch a MTA bus that will take me out to see her. But that's not a Metro partner bus. So you are within 3/4 of a mile for being picked up or dropped off for one of these rides. And what's the vehicle like? A MetroAccess vehicle can be like a minivan. It can be a much larger van. It's accessible, that will have a ramp that comes down for those of us who are wheelchair users or might be using a walker and have a difficulty getting up and down the step up into our buses, though actually our buses all have ramps as well. So our buses are quite accessible. But what might be keeping us from using them is our low vision or our blindness until we are able to get some good training. And even after, because we might have a condition, say, like retinitis pigmentosa, that makes it harder for us at night. Or we may have trouble with certain times of the year with the weather conditions, any number of reasons. So for those who are in this Zoom who have never applied for MetroAccess but think it might be something that you need, that's why I'm here, to let you know that the service exists, that it is a requirement from any transit agency that's getting federal funding, and of course, WMATA does, to provide, under the Americans with Disabilities Act, a complementary service or a parallel service. That's where we get the terminology paratransit. It's parallel service to what you might have on the bus or the train around you. Now, this is the part that for some is, and for many of us at different times can be troubling, is if you are going to take a trip, say I'm over here in Fairfax County, not far, just inside the Beltway from the Tyson's Corner area. If I want to go around the Beltway and visit my sister on a Sunday morning who lives in the district, but just inside from Montgomery County, just inside I can do that, no problem. I can book a MetroAccess trip to do that. But it might take me an hour and 45 minutes to get there, even though if I have a friend or a neighbor, or I were to call an Uber for myself, I could get over to her house early on a Sunday morning when there's very little traffic. I could get there in 30 minutes max, as long as there's no accident on the Beltway. But it might take me an hour and 45 minutes to get there on MetroAccess. Why? Because it's parallel to what would be offered to me on the bus and the train. And to go from my house to her house on a Sunday when service is a little more limited, I would need to walk the 10 minutes to the bus that's near my house, which I can do when the weather's decent and it isn't icy. And I can then take that bus to the train station near me, wait for the train, and then I need to go to Metro Center, transfer to the Red Line train, and then take that train out to Silver Spring Station, and then walk 15 minutes from the Silver Spring Station to where her home is. It's all doable. I've done it, but it takes about an hour and 45 minutes on a Sunday. So that's where the word para comes in, parallel transportation. So in a nutshell, anyone who is having difficulty getting to or on the buses and trains in our region can apply for this. Technically, you need to be within 3/4 of a mile of a bus stop or a train station in order to book a trip. Now, we have people who live out in Loudoun County or who live out, there's a gentleman I have worked with who lives out in Prince William County, several actually. They have to get into the service area to be served by our system. So they can apply. Or even if you live within the DMV, you might be in an area further out, say in Fairfax County or Prince George's County, where it gets quite ex-urban, as we call it, further away. If you're not within 3/4 of a mile of a bus stop that serves near your home, or a train station that comes near your home, you can still apply for MetroAccess and have that service, but then you'll need to get transportation in close to where a bus is. And I usually tell people try to get to a place that's a safe waiting place, like a Starbucks or a library or someplace where a family member or a friend, or perhaps you can take a shared, a ride share or some other kind of vehicle to get you into our service area. And then you can book your MetroAccess trip, have it pick you up from that point. Okay, I'm going to stop for a minute because there are also other things that I do at Metro that have to do with travel training. So if you are newly blind or newly dealing with vision loss and you have not yet spoken with someone in one of our rehabilitation agencies, Tara and the others at POB have a wealth of information to share with you. But getting some good orientation and mobility training, basic training, is really important. Learning how to use a white cane if you're at a point where you need that. I will work with folks one-on-one, teaching them how to use the bus and the train if I do an assessment and feel that they are safe prior to having that training. So we could talk about that one-on-one if it's something that's of any interest to folks. So I and others on my team do provide travel training, and there's no cost for it. It's just a way to help people with disabilities and seniors feel more comfortable and at ease traveling on buses and trains. But I'm the only one who works with folks who are blind or have low vision. And again, I would assess prior to going out. So, Tara, I'm going to stop for a minute and take my guidance from you before I ramble any further.
Actually, I have 3 questions, if you could answer them. The
Sure.
first is, what is the vision requirement? How would you decide this person qualifies for MetroAccess or doesn't? Because we get this question from many of our clients, and I don't know, like, what is the threshold for that?
Okay, that's an excellent question. And the answer is there is no specific threshold requirement. It's about functionality. So you and I have a disability, and others in this room, I'm assuming in this Zoom room, also have a disability related to our vision. Really, the issue is, how do you function? So I don't determine whether you're eligible or not. In some paratransit authorities, transit authorities, there are orientation and mobility specialists who are able to fill out the paperwork. In ours, that is not the case. It is a physician who's going to fill out that paperwork. That physician should be either your primary care doctor, who we assume knows you quite well, or preferably your low vision specialist or your ophthalmologist, your retina specialist, your glaucoma specialist, someone who really understands your functioning in the world, how you are functioning. I'll give myself as an example. I, for years, had 20/20 tunnel vision, but I was legally blind due to my my field was just under 20 degrees. I was legally blind. I had 20/20 vision, but my color contrast was off, and it still is. And now I'm down to about a 5-degree field. Nothing has changed. I'm still legally blind, and air quotes I'm putting up here. Nothing has changed clinically. Functionally, a lot has changed. I've lost a lot of vision over the years, and I am grateful I know how to get around. And there have been times when I've called a fellow O&M instructor and said, "Hey, I need a tune-up." I think that I'm realizing that my skill level, it was during COVID, actually. I had a friend come over, and God bless her, she worked with me, and I think we all had a bit of a backtracking during COVID of our getting out and about skills. So there's a very long-winded way of saying there is no number. What your doctor puts on the form is quite lengthy, as many of us in this meeting know. All you need to fill out is your portion with your name and address and some basic information, and then you check whether or not you're using a cane or a wheelchair or any sort of device, or none. If you're using none, that's fine as well. Then your doctor has the bulk of the work to do. And there are specific questions that my office has put on there, so that the people in my office who do determine your eligibility for MetroAccess get a feel from the doctor. So here's an example. One of the things almost every doctor puts on is high risk of falls. Why? Because the data is there. Those of us who are blind or have low vision are at a higher risk of falling. Does it mean that everybody I know falls all over the place? No. But it does mean that we need to get that training so that we learn how to get around safely and be aware of the curb drop-offs or steps up, and become confident in the way we get around. So high risk of falls, that's just by virtue of the fact that you're blind or you have low vision. Doesn't mean that you have fallen, but the reality is most of us have at some point had a little trip up or down or had a, it's just the reality of the situation. And then we learn as we go how to be more confident and safe as we're walking. So I suggest that folks be clear if you are seeing a doctor who doesn't know you that well, and you want to have input here too. So I don't see any problem with sharing with your doctor the situations that you feel are difficult. For me, there is a situation where I have to get to my retina specialist, I have to cross 8 lanes of traffic. Now, I can take the bus there in 10 minutes. But I don't like crossing those lanes of traffic where it's near Tyson's Corner and it's ridiculous. So I take MetroAccess to get there. And then on the way home, I'm on the proper side of the street. No problem. I can catch the bus because I don't have to cross those 8 lanes of traffic. I would prefer to take the bus. I'm able to. I feel safe doing it. But if I have and these are the kinds of questions you want to share or thoughts you may want to share with your doctor when you ask the doctor to fill out the form. I have trouble crossing big intersections, or I'm still not used to, I don't know when it's safe to cross if there isn't a traffic light at this intersection near my house where I need to catch the bus or where I would be catching the bus. Okay, question number 2.
I think there's a raised hand, so I'll leave it for
Okay.
Rosemary. Rosemary, do you want to unmute yourself? Oh, okay, you're
Yes.
unmuted.
Thank you. Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned COVID. I just want to say that I pre-COVID had the doctor fill out the entire form. At that time, we had to go down for an interview someplace downtown. I can't remember. And I used the transit with training. I didn't use the paratransit. But during COVID, they only gave me 3 years, even though it's RP, which is not getting better anytime soon. And it expired. And I just haven't had, kind of it's, filling out that form is a lot to ask the physician and all of that. And I'm just wondering if there's a way to resuscitate an old ability, or if you have to then reapply, get the form filled out, show up someplace in person again, all of that kind of stuff.
Okay. Good. I'm so glad you brought it up. I'm also sorry to say that when you were given 3 years, that is the norm for someone who is able to take the bus and the train for at least one of their trips. So you and I seem to fit that bill. I also have to recertify every 3 years. Now, for those of us who are blind or have low vision, there is what's called an administrative recertification form that is faster and easier. And I'm going to give you my phone number, Rosemary, and anyone else who might want to write this down, feel free to give me a call. My Metro cell phone number, which is the best way to reach me, is 202-570-2447. So again, it's
And we have it in the chat.
yes. Oh, great. Tara's put it in the chat. So 202-570-2447. And Rosemary, call me when you're ready, and we can talk about how to get you back on track.
Thanks so much.
Of course. And ideally, when someone is found eligible, you're going to be found eligible for either 3 years or 5 years. What's the 5 years about? 5 years is basically your doctor has said you have some really serious issues, and it's a 5-year eligibility because it's not safe for you to be traveling in the system. If you disagree with that, if you feel that you could be safe, I could come out and do an assessment, and we could see about changing that eligibility status to a 3-year. Why? Why would somebody want 3 years instead of 5? I mean, I had recently an older couple, they're 85 and 89, who signed up for services in Montgomery County. And the reality is neither one of them they would have been found eligible for the 3 years. But neither one of them wanted to have to recertify again. They just wanted it as a backup. If they can't drive anymore, one of them cannot drive already, but the other one can. They wanted it as a backup, as a safety net, and they were eligible. I knew they would both be eligible, but we actually had it so that I spoke with the office and we made it a 5-year eligibility. So they wouldn't have to, I mean, they're 85 and 89. It's another piece. It's a headache for all of us to redo it. There is always discussion about, for those of us who have permanent disabilities, can this be changed? So the MetroAccess folks have an accessibility advisory committee meeting, and Sandy Newzell's on that, and other friends of ours in the blindness and low vision community bring up, how can we change this? But for the time being, it's either 3 years or 5 years. And you can always call me to talk about, what we can do. I do suggest when you get certified, you put some sort of a reminder somewhere. And for many of us now, that's a digital calendar. But for some of us, we're not that into the digital thing. So have a grandkid or someone put it on their digital reminder and be ready to react, to get that recertification in. Okay, Rosemary, we'll talk more.
Okay. Janice, you had your hand raised? And
Yes,
now you just, okay.
Brigid had mentioned, I wanted to state that, yes, the Accessibility Advisory Committee, we are currently advocating to eliminate the recertification process for those who have permanent visual disabilities, where, like Brigid says, it's not getting better, so it's not going to get better, and your doctor can certify to that effect. But we are working on that. So hopefully there will be a day that we don't have to recertify.
Yay to AAC members. Thank you for your service.
Brigid, can you explain to us about Abilities Ride?
Sure. Abilities Ride is a program underneath the MetroAccess umbrella. So when you apply for MetroAccess, you are stating that you have some additional need that cannot be met by the bus and the train. And in our case, it's a door-to-door service. And we used to have curb-to-curb service where our drivers would not actually come up to the door and meet you, but now they do, door-to-door service. That's fantastic for many of us. Now, some years back, 7 years back, actually, my vice president had begun this Abilities Ride program. And it has morphed into a number of different contractors with whom we work who might possibly provide you transportation if you opt into being an Abilities Ride person. Now, first thing to understand about Abilities Ride is that it is based on sort of a lottery system. So you may say when you make a MetroAccess reservation that you would like it to be an Uber ride, or you would like it to be a taxi ride. These are a couple of our alternatives under the Abilities Ride program. And the reservations agency may say, great, okay, I put you down for an Uber. Doesn't mean you're going to get an Uber. It means that they have noted your preference, and you will be notified the night before your ride, or else early the following morning of your ride, as to what kind of a vehicle will be arriving to take you to your destination. So it might be a MetroAccess van, a MetroAccess sedan. We have these new minivan. Janice, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a smaller version of the van. And then it might be an Uber. Or in some neighborhoods, more often than not, a taxi is easier than an Uber, because the system seems to recognize there are fewer Uber drivers out at certain times and hours and what have you. But again, Abilities Ride is something you can opt into. When you apply for the service, When you're found eligible, you'll get some information. You're eligible for MetroAccess for 3 years or for 5 years. And here is the customer service guide. Within the customer service guide is a link to Abilities Ride, or if you have it in a print version, you'll be able to see Abilities Ride. That now is being handled. If you want to opt into that, there are a couple of cautionary notes. If you are someone who is blind or has low vision and you're new to it, and you are struggling with doing things on either your computer, but especially in this instance, on your phone, if you use a smartphone, an Uber ride may be great for some people, but for others, it could be a nightmare because that Uber driver might take you, say, to an address in the middle of a block in Northwest DC to see a doctor, or to meet your friend for lunch. But they can't get close enough to your destinations. They're going to drop you off in the lane of cars that are parked along the road there, and you're going to need to make your way through the parked car to the sidewalk, and then realize, oh my gosh, I'm going to see my friend and I have no idea where on the block I am. They can't just offer you an arm and take you to the door of that building the way that a MetroAccess driver could. So be aware, if you can follow the text stream on your phone and be able to, either with VoiceOver or what's the one for Google, the Android phones, TalkBack, whatever you use to access something non-visually, if you're going non-visually at this point, or if you have it zoomed to a point that makes it large enough for you to read visually, and you can click on the links and be aware of exactly which text from Metro you should click on, that's great. It'll work for you. And if you can get to that street and feel confident walking a half a block this way or a half a block that way until you find the proper door, no problem. Some people love it, whether they're totally blind or not. Some people are they've been around the block and they know how to figure it out. But some folks, and I must say, in the beginning when I got the links, I once clicked on the wrong link. So I wound up taking an Uber ride. Well, I didn't take it. They never came to get me because I clicked on the link that was my pickup for the end of the day. I just thought I knew exactly what I was doing. And I was in a hurry and I was rushed and I didn't take my time. So Abilities Ride is another way that you can get from A to B, but be aware. And if anybody wants to talk about it afterwards, or, a week from now, hey, Bridge, do you think I should opt into this program? I'm happy to talk pros and cons. The other thing is it is a lottery, and some people seem to win the lottery a lot and other people don't seem to get these. It depends on what's going on. To me, it's like the spinning of the bingo numbers. You just never know when your number's going to be pulled and you're going to win the big pot. So just be aware. For some, it's an excellent option, and for others, not so much. I have opted into it. I rarely ever get an Uber ride. Most of the time, I'm taking buses and trains. But if you are most of the time taking MetroAccess, and you have some confidence level, you've taken Uber or Lyft before, and you kind of understand the concept, that's great. Go for it.
I just want to add that I love Abilities Ride, and I get Uber almost most of the time. And when I cannot use the bus and the train, but there are two challenges. One, you need to have enough vision to see the Uber car. Sometimes they say, I am here, and you cannot see where they are. There are so many cars and you cannot tell where they are. Or sometimes they might drop you off at the wrong place. And this has happened to me. So, as you said, we need to be careful, but it's a great service.
Yes, just to
yeah.
add to that, Tara, I
Mhm.
have, I don't like to put it in my profile on Uber. I have a
Mhm.
personal Uber profile,
Mhm.
but if it's coming from Metro and I do get an Uber link, I will say, as soon as I get a confirmation that the ride is on its way, I personally say, I'm wearing a, purple coat and I use a long white cane. I'm visually impaired. Please look for me. So I put a note in the area where it says, you can text your driver. So that's
That's a
worked well
great
for me.
idea. Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Mhm.
Candace?
Yeah, so I this totally appreciate all this such good information, but I'm just wondering if there is an opportunity for like out of town, like temporary access to this.
Yes, not necessarily to Abilities Ride, but if the person coming to town already has paratransit in their local area, wherever that may be,
Mm-hmm.
if a couple of weeks before they come to town, they get a hold of the Transit Accessibility Center, well, first they need to call their transit authority where they live and tell them that they want visitor status. It's called visitor status.
Okay.
Within the DC metro area with WMATA. And when they do that, they should have the metro, my office's information. So if you know someone in that boat, feel free to give them my number, or they can look up the Transit Accessibility Center. Now, if somebody is coming to town and they don't live in an area, say they live in Mount Shasta, California, near my sister, and they don't have paratransit, they can apply from anywhere in the country for MetroAccess paratransit and just use it when they're in town. But it's a process.
Mm-hmm.
And Metro has 21 days to process an application once it is received. But then it takes, after say it takes 3 weeks, then it's another week or so in the mail, depending on where the person is. So again, anyone can apply. I have people in Prince William County, Loudoun County. I have one gentleman who lives in Ohio, but he used to live here. And he's back and forth a lot. So he keeps his MetroAccess going. He recertifies every 3 years. Even if he hasn't been here in a year and a half, he knows he will be. And when he's in town, he uses MetroAccess.
Thank you. Okay, then I just have one other question. So I do live in Loudoun County, and I want to get I want to apply for the Metro Access for the Metro. So do I have to go into DC to have the interview?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up again because it was mentioned earlier. More often than not, we are not interviewing people in person. Every now and then someone is called in person. The form still says you may have an in-person interview. It's extremely rare, and especially with our population. This really changed during COVID, and we moved into doing pretty much everything by email. So when you apply for the
Nice.
service, you would send the application, and ideally you send the completed application. You fill out Part A. Your physician of choice fills out Part B. You both sign and date it, and you send it to eligibility@wmata.com. Again, you can call me. Anyone here, call me, feel free, and I'll talk you through the process. And you can send it directly to them, or you can send it to me. I'll be glad to look over it and say, I had someone send me one last week and their doctor had filled everything out except the most important line other than their signature, which is, what are the diagnostic codes of the person's disability or disabilities? And what are they called? This was not someone who was blind, but I met through an outreach. Anyway, they had like 3 different codes that were important for my colleagues in the eligibility office to know when they're considering this individual's application. So they had to call their doctor back and get them to, I think what happened is an admin staff person in the office left it blank for the doctor and the doctor didn't realize that. they had filled out the rest of the form, but they didn't fill out. It's number 7. It's a very important question that needs to be completed. So feel free to call me and I'll be glad to go over details. We also request that when it is sent, we get a copy of the front of your identification card, whether it's a DMV ID card or a driver's license, if it's only recently that you have stopped driving, or and there are some people who apply who are driving, but they know that their driving days are numbered. So a driver's license, any government issued ID that has not expired can be used to, that takes the place of you coming in person. So we know you are who you say you are, and then we'll use the picture from that ID to be your picture on your ID card with us. Or if you prefer, you can send in a headshot if you don't like the picture on your ID card.
We have Osman and then Gerald.
Yes, thank you so much. I just wanted to make a quick addition about the Uber services that normally the staff that schedule the ride always puts on the Uber for the drivers to always call the rider when they arrive. So some of them tend to call us and some do not, but most often than not, they always tend to put a statement there for the drivers to always call us when they arrive. So some are kind and they get to call us, and it's easy for us to figure out where they are. And some would even come out to give a hand, so to get us in the car, just to those who are interested in the Uber ride. It's a good one though.
Yeah, I'm
Great.
so glad you mentioned that, Osman. I think
Yes.
that there are folks who will look at that note. That note is always put on the request for the ride, but as you say, you just don't know which what you're going to
Yes,
have.
because that also, sorry to just come in quickly. That also happens. So for some of us who have the abilities right on Metro, so when we pull up the link, for me personally, I always go back into the Uber app because I have the Uber app, and then I track the progress of the ride from the Uber app. So that's always also easy to work out as well.
Good point.
Okay, Gerald.
Hello, and good to hear you, Brigid.
You too.
I have really been happy and sad in the activity and the abilities ride portion, and I definitely want to get back into activity and action to give my support in regards to our advocating toward these things. But the biggest thing for me for the Uber ride is the communication piece. And just like the gentleman before said, you know, some will call, some won't call, some will send a text message. Sometimes you get the phone call giving you the details, but that tweak is something that I would ask to see if we can work on that to get the actual phone call as well, and to service all people with disabilities. And truly, if there was any other alternatives that we may be looking at, or is there, as we're pretty much at the end of the road as far as the different alternatives that we have for the ability ride.
Well, I'll answer the second part first. I attended the MetroAccess subcommittee meeting this past Monday. That's the subcommittee of the Accessibility Advisory Committee. So I encourage anyone who's interested to attend that. And at the tail end, as you know, Gerald, you can provide public comment. So I was a fly on the wall, just listening in because I had not attended one in a while. And what I heard Mr. Blake say, my VP, is, you know, we all need to keep in mind that he cannot tell Uber what to do. Now, certainly when it comes to, is there an issue with someone being denied service, or especially when it comes to the situation of rides leaving when they realize the person has a service animal or such. He becomes very involved. But the rest of it, he cautioned us and reminded us that this is an option for us. It is not MetroAccess. It is
Right.
an option with under the MetroAccess umbrella. And I highly encourage you, Gerald, if you want to become a little more vocal about it, to go to that subcommittee. It's the third Monday of each month from 4 to 6 p.m. online. And it's well worth folks hearing your opinion. Anyone who's in this Zoom who would like to. The first Monday of the month is the Overall Accessibility Advisory Committee, and the second Monday is the Bus and Rail Subcommittee meeting. So Janice and anyone else who's on the committee could speak more to it, but I highly recommend going. I hear you though. I hear you. I also felt for what Mr. Blake was saying, that we can't control how Uber handles its particular situations, sorry, all of the time, you know.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Gerald. Oh, sorry.
And then I think about it now, and quickly with this one,
Mhm.
all of the lawsuits and things like that that are happening in that. That's why I'm asking the question, and I'll take it to the meeting too. All of the lawsuits and the different things of how some of them are really abusing the idea of getting paid to transport people and doing things other than transporting them, and then also just leaving them there to fend their own way, not just for the people with disability, but all patrons of them. I think it's something that we may want to see if there's somebody that's more user friendly, and that's across the board, not just for
Okay,
people
so
with disability.
I'm glad you brought that up, because there are a number of contractors. In fact, I was surprised. I had no idea. Evidently, there's 17 different entities across the DMV. Some work in certain jurisdictions and not in others. So that was news to me. I highly recommend attending the meeting to learn more.
Okay.
And I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. And one reason that some folks, they sign up for Abilities Ride and love it. And other folks sign up for Abilities Ride and then call and say, you know, I would like to have just straight up MetroAccess.
Yeah.
And it's a very personal decision.
Yes, indeed.
Janice?
Brigid is spot on. What I was going to say is that some of the challenges that our community has with the rideshare, Uber, and Lyft, they're the same challenges that sighted people have, you know, being dropped off at incorrect places or whatever, rides being dropped, et cetera. So it's truly an abilities ride program. And people who are totally blind and sighted are able to use Uber, but you really have to be have a honest assessment of yourself as to what your abilities are, because it's not a door to door. And I know people who are like, you know, Uber's great, but I prefer door to door service. And, you know, people like it for the convenience. You can call for it when you like, and, you know, it's free of charge. But then when, you know, they get dropped off someplace that they don't know, or whatever the case may be, then, you know, they're ready to, you know, complain. So you really have to do an honest assessment of your abilities. And, you know, all of us who use it have had all those, you know, ugly instances, but for the majority of the time, you know, it's a great service. You know, I've had, you know, rides dropped. And since I have a little bit of sight, and I don't want to give the impression that you have to have sight to use it, because I know people who are totally blind who use Uber all the time. But, you know, I've been in cases where, you know, they want to drop me off someplace and I know it's not the right place, but, you know your rights. Don't get out of the vehicle, you know, let them know this isn't right, you know. Don't drop me off here where the, you know, trash dumpsters are. This isn't the front of the building or whatever. So you really have to have abilities to use the program.
Brigid, I have a question from one of our clients was asking, do you need to have a smart trip card in addition to the MetroAccess card to use it for buses and trains, or would the MetroAccess card be enough?
Okay, so remember, flipping back to this 3-year eligibility or 5-year eligibility. So the couple I mentioned from Montgomery County chose well, they didn't choose it. I actually suggested to them that I talk to the office because I knew they were going to be found eligible for the 3-year conditional eligibility, which means under some conditions they could take the bus and the train. I knew they were weakening in their bodies and weren't going to be taking the bus and the train, even though they were eligible for it. If you have a 3-year card, as was it Rosemary early on was
Yes.
talking to me about, that card, your MetroAccess ID card, if you're conditionally eligible with 3 years of eligibility, also serves as your Smart Trip card for the bus and the train. If you have, and that's a free ride benefit that you get. And why do we do that? Metro's encouraging those of us who are able to some of the time use buses and trains to do so. It saves everybody a whole lot of money. I mean, it saves the authority money. That said, we want people to be safe. So you decide, we each decide when it's going to be best for us to use the bus or the train or MetroAccess. So 3-year eligibility, your Smart Trip card, your MetroAccess ID card is a Smart Trip card. If you have a 5-year eligibility, your MetroAccess ID card has no free ride benefit on it. It is simply a MetroAccess ID card, which means when you get onto a MetroAccess vehicle, before you do, the driver is supposed to ask, and typically does, could you please show me your MetroAccess ID? If for any reason you can't find your MetroAccess ID, that's okay. Show them your non-driver's ID card or some sort of government ID. Again, they want to just know you are who you say you are. So in neither instance, the 3-year eligibility or the 5-year eligibility, nothing from those cards pays for MetroAccess. Your MetroAccess trip can be as much as $4.50. That is the highest. God bless the AAC, the Accessibility Advisory Committee, because it used to be higher, and they brought that price down. So when you get on a MetroAccess vehicle, you are expected to pay your fare either through our Easy Pay account system, which I can talk to you about individually, or in cash, exact change, because our drivers do not make change. So, or if you have a $20 bill and it's $4.50, you're out a whole heck of a lot of money. So, back to the original question. If you have a MetroAccess card and you're conditionally eligible, that's a good for 3 years card. That card has a chip in it that allows you to ride at no cost on buses and trains. You also will get a second card that says PCA on it that is paired to your MetroAccess ID card. So someone can ride with you. A friend, a spouse, a caregiver, a grandchild, anybody who's riding with you to offer you a little support. You go through the fare gate with your MetroAccess ID card, and then you give them your PCA card, and they go through behind you through the same fare gate, and neither one of you pays for that trip. You do the same thing at your destination, and you can do the same thing on buses. You, as the customer, always tap your card first, and the person traveling with you taps the PCA card second. But if you have a 5-year eligibility, no, you do need to get a separate card for riding on buses and trains. And if you're 65 or older, you can get a senior Smart Trip card, which is a half price card.
Thank you, Brigid. There's a question. Are the Monday evening accessibility meetings listed on the WMATA website if somebody wants to join?
They are. If you go to WMATA.com, it will bring up our trip planner. And at the top of the page, there's a search box, and you can put MetroAccess Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting. The other thing I could do, if it's okay with you, Tara, is just send you the listing.
Sure.
Either way. But
Okay.
yes, it is. You can get it online. The subcommittee meetings for the second Monday and the third Monday are the same Uber link every time. I mean, Uber link.
Zoom link.
The same Zoom link. And the I believe it might be a separate number. Janice would know better than I for the overall accessibility advisory committee.
Okay. Ashley, do you have a question? If you can make it short, because we have 2 more from the chat.
Oh, hi, Bridget.
Hi, Ash.
Hi. Yeah, you remember me. Hopefully you can hear me all right.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, you had answered a few of my questions already. But for the meetings, can we just show up, or do we have to like I guess like tell them we're coming in advance, like RSVP or something?
You just show up. You just show up, and be aware that if you have any public comment to give, it's at the end of the meeting. They allow a half an hour for it, and it's 2 minutes per person.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it was at every meeting. I knew about public comment, but that's cool. That's good information to know. Oh, okay. And the last thing was, yeah, when I make my reservations, recently, so the past 3 or 4 months, they ask about Uber, whether you accept that or not. I guess the question I'm wondering is, when they do that, does that just mean Uber, or do they mean cabs and Uber or something like that, or a third party, another
That's
third
a
party?
good question, and it's a question I would ask them.
Okay.
I would ask them that question, and if you want to call me and I can forward something along to leadership, I'll be glad to do that. But
yeah, I was just
if
curious
they're
because I don't
specifically
like...
asking you Uber, then my guess would be that that's what they're suggesting.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll take that question up later then. And yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, though.
Thank you,
You're
Ashley. Bridget, there's another question. Where can I access the application? And does it have to be hard copy?
No, in fact, if you want to give me a call at the end of the meeting, I'll be happy to send one to you via email. You can go to our website, WMATA.com, and just put in MetroAccess in the search box. It'll take you to the MetroAccess page, and you dig around a little bit, but I'm happy to send you a digital copy, and you can either print it or forward it to your doctor if you would like to do that. The one you're not going to find on our website is the recertification form. The recertification form, talk to me directly or call the Transit Accessibility Center. That's not for everyone who has MetroAccess. It's definitely for us, because we do recognize that those of us with who are blind or have low vision are likely not going to be recouping that vision.
Any last question for Brigid? We're running out of time, but this has been amazing and very useful for all of us who use it or thinking of using MetroAccess.
Yes, I can use it. Thanks. It's been wonderful.
Yeah. Brigid, thank you very much for joining us today. And the session is recorded. We will send out the link tomorrow to this session and to our Tech Talk as well. Actually, there is one more question. Miriam?
Thank you so much. I came late. I'm calling on behalf of my mother. And my only 2 questions is, yes, the link, the whole video again, will you send it to the same recipients that received the first email about this?
Correct.
So meaning, okay, good, great.
Yeah.
And so then I'll be able to see if my mother can utilize that in the future. Thank you so much. Really, I appreciate the stuff that you guys are doing. And I'm trying to get my mother to really be more participatory. So the more stuff you send out, the better it will be. Thank you all.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone.
Your
Okay.
service
Take
is
care,
so
everyone.
invaluable.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.